Hi Peter, thank you for coming today. Can you tell us a bit about your name and when and how you came to Sahaja Yoga and how you came to be in Sydney?
So Peter Schwartz. I came to Sydney, got a realisation in Tasmania. A whole group of us was there, and it was around the time of the Shri Mataji's visit, at the tail end of that. Came up to Sydney via Melbourne, got my hair cut off in Melbourne. It was quite long, and I remember catching a transport up. I think it was a train up to Sydney, arriving at Central. And I always remember getting off the train at Central, and I always remember looking around, catching the train to Burwood, and arriving at Burwood Station, walking up the road to Clarence Street here, coming up and knocking on the door, not really knowing anyone, and arriving like that. And that was in, I guess, early 1981, or maybe, I don't know, maybe end of 80. I don't really recall. I remember going on the India tour in 81, so it could have been actually 1980.
So Peter, you're a builder, and in 81 this house was rented, and it was a former nursing home. Can you tell us a bit about the early work that was done? Even though we're renting, the feeling was that we wanted to renovate the house to make it more suitable as an ashram. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I guess in those days, you know, it was a lot of people living here. There was the boys' dorm, the girls' dorm, different rooms. Not many people were married in those days. There was a lot of, you know, younger people here and around. As time went on, I remember we lived in a unit apartment over on the other side of Clarence Street, and you know, as numbers grew. But in those early days, I think it was a lot of enthusiasm, and we were here. We had the place. It was, like I say, it was run down, and really the first things we were doing were painting it. You know, there's a lot of enthusiastic people who said, you know, let's paint this, let's paint that. I don't know how many different colours, colour schemes it's been over the years. Even now, as I look around, you know, this is another colour scheme. This room behind me was the deep red, and then it got some green and then trim. So it started off with the painting, and then from there it started looking at, you know, trying to make things more useful, and often people had their own rooms and they just sort of kind of paint my own room or whatever, or, you know.
And Shri Mataji directed that the Burwood be turned into an ashram and be made into a suitable place to become the centre of Sahaja Yoga. What was your involvement in that project?
For here? Yeah. I mean, there were several people, I guess, who had building, you know, experience or, you know, aptitude, and I was certainly one of those. I've had some, you know, experience working with building before, you know, quite a bit. And I was very practical, so I was called upon or happy to do it. I mean, you know, it was there. Like I said, we were enthusiastic and you know, committed for sure. Yeah. So
there's a view that these projects were more than just construction or their renovation, that somehow they were a sign of our growth individually and as a collective, and that perhaps the work itself had an end to its own self. What was your feeling working on this house for so many years and its development?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Sahaja was a total commitment, you know, with you know, involvement and wanting to see the growth, and I always thought, you know, everything we did, you know, whether it was tough or hard or whatever, you know, was always enjoyable. I mean, I always enjoyed it. I never thought it was a waste of time. It was always part of Sahaja. It wasn't a sort of a thing on the side. Oh, you know, this is a bit of work on the side. It was always, you know, it's always part of Sahaja. It's part of our growth, our commitment to doing what we could, and it was important, and
And at the time of these projects, you would have been working with lots of different people lots of people with different skill levels, some with no skills, some with lots of skill, different backgrounds. What was the feeling like in a project like that, with working with such a diverse range of people and different skills and backgrounds?
Yeah, I mean it was fun. You know, like you said, there's some really skilled, capable people, and then there was people who weren't really practical, could hardly hold a paintbrush, but it was fun, and everyone would have a go, and I think as builders, you know, as people that were capable, had the aptitude, several of us were pretty valuable for that thing, because we're able to do it, and everyone else, you know, were able to fill in around. And I must say, with you know, the power of the collective and the numbers of people and the you know, sheer volume, we're able to do a lot, you know, a lot more than say normal people, because, you know, we were doing it all hours, and it was getting done, and we weren't, you know, held back by clients or anything like that. It was just, you know, go for it.
We all had day jobs and we had families, so a lot of this building work called on us to work out of hours or give up our weekends and work late tonight, with sacrificing our time with our family and social time. Why did you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just part of it. It was, you know, Sahaj was a whole encompassing thing. We did it. I remember, you know, catching up. I was going to TAFE at the time. I remember doing projects and then working all night on homework and assignments on TAFE. And during the day we'd renovate the bathroom or renovate an ashram. Not only here at Burwood, but, you know, any ashrams that we're doing. I remember we renovated Bondi and Strathfield, and there's so many places we did. And like most of them we didn't own, of course, we just did it. And I don't know, you just do it, you know.
It was a different time, because in Sydney we had maybe 20, 30 ashrams. As you said, most of them were rented. Yet, as a collective, we still felt that desire to make those properties nicer to live in, and we're working all over Sydney renovating. So what was that like, to be involved in so much sort of physical activity and projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, as time went on, you had kids and family, and, you know, things settled down a little bit, but you try to do what had to be done with the different things. And I think as time went on, things were a bit more organised too. That there was, okay, let's, you know, we've got this coming up, we plan it, and you're able to sort of say, okay, I can help with this bit, and someone else would step in and help with the other bit. So, you know, it was a little bit easier to do. But in the early days, it was just go for it, and you didn't really think about much else.
The people that were involved in that building work, did you see them change individually or spiritually through their labours at a building site?
Like I say, all involved, and that's got to have some benefit. I don't know what to say now, sorry. No. I mean, it's all good. It's all benefit. It's all you know, it's all growth. It was doing things. It was challenging ourselves. It was being involved in other people, being part of the collective, and I think that was the big thing we got out of it. And everyone got different things out of it, and everyone enjoyed it in different ways. But I don't think anyone really regretted anything. Found it much of a burden. Sometimes it was hard to fit it in, but.
So you're a professional builder. You've been involved in non-Sahaj projects, large projects, and you're involved with Sahaj projects. So your experience, what's the big difference between a normal building project and your experiences on a Sahaj building project?
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely different, you know, so definitely different. Sahaj projects, it's all volunteer, and you know, when you're getting paid and it's a proper project, well, you've got certain guidelines you've got to do. Sahaj projects are a lot more fun. Mostly they're a lot more flexible, easygoing. You don't have to be quite as exact, but some things you do. And you know, I used to get satisfaction out of non-Sahaj projects, but I think you get more satisfaction out of the Sahaj projects just because you're, you know, it's part of Sahaj Yoga, and it's part of what you're doing, and what you believe in, and value, Yeah, and it's fun. It was fun. You know, we had a lot of fun. Definitely had a lot of fun. It was always, you know, that's my memories of it was, it was fun. You know, we had good food. You know, we had tea and chai or whatever, or, you know, cakes or whatever, and we'd sit down, have a chat, and then we'd get up and do some more. And and normal building projects were fine and fun, especially if you know, working with nice people. But you know, definitely working with the collective and Sahaj was.
That you're part of some greater good. That greater good was being done through the work.
Yeah, certainly through the work. I mean, I don't know about, you know, being an instrument of it, although I guess we were. I never saw it like that, except that you know, I knew we were doing good and we wanted to do it, and it was a benefit of more than just a physical benefit, for sure. You know, it was certainly, you know, we're in Australia, but part of the world expression, and I know from Australia it grew, and I think we were proud in the early days as being pioneers of that early commitment. I know Australia was known, you know, the golden builders in Australia were really known, and we were pioneers in that, and it set examples for other people in the world, and we were happy about that. And that was never our aim. I think we were just wanting to do it. It was just the fact that it happened. And I think there was certainly a lot of greater good. And I think we were aware of that too, you know, but we were doing it because it was the right thing, and, you know, we enjoyed it, we wanted to do it, and there's a lot of, someone had to do it, you know, someone's got to do this work, and someone's got to knock these walls down or build this or expand this, and if we were in the position to do it, I guess for me, you know, I was in a position to do it. I mightn't have been good at other things, but I could do this, and certainly, so I did feel in that sense, you know, I felt a greater role because I could do it. So it was easy, and I was happy doing it, and yeah.
This house has been pretty much rebuilt from the ground up from the days when we first came. So looking back at the project and your involvement, what are your favourite memories of your work here at Burwood?
I think a lot of the early days, I enjoyed the early day stuff. There was less of us. It was all a bit gung-ho. This gap behind me was a solid wall. I remember putting the steel beam up there, propping all of us doing it here. You know, I remember these you know, pulling out these doors up on the roof here, just in this room. You know, the early days were fun because they were a bit more, you know, gung-ho. We were younger, enthusiastic. Then as it went on, when the, you know, formal extensions and improvements of the ashram here went on, it was more, you know, it was different. But I remember, you know, at the back, huge steel beams when we were doing the extension to the kitchen, and, you know, about 15 or 20 yogis moving these beams, coordinating. I remember, you know, having to shuffle, and I do remember having to say, okay, watch your fingers, because there was a lot of enthusiastic people that, you know, that could have hurt if it wasn't. So I remember those things, but I think the early days were my best memories.
I'm going to bring you to 2005-6 when we did the first major renovation here, and the word came very late that Shri Mataji wanted to come, so we had a very tight time frame, but a huge building project to get accomplished. And what was your memory of that? What was done, how it was done, and how we were able to pull off this major renovation?
That it happened, and somehow it did happen. A lot of confusion. I don't necessarily have super fond memories because there was some confusion and a little bit of angst here and there in the process. And the plans kept changing in many regards, but it was done, you know, pretty amazingly, and what a great effort, and it just shows what can be done when the desire's there. Yeah.
And the following year we put a second story on, so another major project also done in a short space of time. And I think at the time you told me that what was built for the budget and the time was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, actually was very little involved in that, so you know, you'll have to ask someone else about that one.
I will. What's been your involvement with the Balmoral project? You're also very much involved with, and that was first bought as an old blueberry farm, So what's been your memories there of that project?
Yeah, so I was certainly involved early days, and that's changed and evolved, and so I certainly remember doing a lot of the work on the early hall and the building of that, and then subsequently some extensions on that. So being involved in that, talking a little bit about the design and greater plans for different amenities and all that eventually has happened. But mostly my involvement down there was the early hall and then the extensions on that as it went on. And then of course after that it's evolved further. So yeah.
And you enjoyed your involvement at that property?
Yeah, it was good. I like Balmoral. I remember the process of looking for Balmoral. We actually were very heavily involved in the searching for different properties. We were looking up north and everywhere, and it was quite interesting. There's a lot of work in there. We'd go off on the weekends. We'd follow up leads. We'd be bringing back things, talking about things, plans, and everything like that. And actually, I remember all of a sudden Balmoral popped up. Someone, one of the female yogis, I forget who, saw it and went down, and before we knew it, that was it. We bought it. So and that was the start of okay. Now what do we do?
I remember it wasn't the nicest property that we looked at. We looked at many nicer properties. It was probably the least physically attractive property that we bought. So in a way, it became a bit of a blank canvas where we could sort of put our own imprint onto the property. Is that an aspect you think of Sahaja building projects, that we take something and we turn it into something totally different?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a good point. I mean, I thought exactly that. I thought Balmoral, when you go and look at it, you think, is this right? And things, because we did look at lots of other properties, and but obviously it was right. And it didn't take too long to come around to think that no, it's a lovely spot. It's a really nice area, and we had the blank canvas there. We had the space to be able to do things, and yeah, very very positive. And I think everyone was pleased about it. I'm sure there's always alternatives, but yeah.
So your involvement, Peter, both here and at Balmoral, you've helped build a stage upon which Sahaja Yoga has been enacted over the last 30 years, and every day people are enjoying the fruits of your labour. So now in this part of your life, when you look back at your involvement and how you helped instrumentally build these properties, how do you reflect back on your involvement and your contribution?
Well, I mean, certainly positively. I mean, like I said before, a lot of fond memories, a lot of things I enjoyed, and certainly don't regret, anything. I mean, we did a lot of things, not only building. I remember doing all sorts of other things, building, set building, so many things, renovating Shri Mataji's chair and things like this that we did, and build, all these, whatever needed to be done, we did it. And I've always look back fondly, there's no doubt.
To today's generation of younger people, and what would you say to them about the benefits of getting involved in these sort of projects? What's in it for them to be involved?
Well, I honestly think it's good fun. It's good to do. I mean, because it's not just the projects. It's not the projects. Not even necessarily say, okay, I'm doing it because it's benefiting Sahaja Yoga or whatever. But also, I mean, I think it benefits ourselves, our ego or whatever things we've got to work out, so I think it's great to do. I mean, I admire a lot of yogis who these days involve themselves in all sorts of things and projects and things, and selfishly do it, and that's to be admired. So building is just another little aspect of doing that. So yeah, good.
I missed that last. So I'm going to ask you the same question again.
Sorry. Yeah, good. No, I could answer it differently.
Yeah. So, looking back at your involvement in such projects, is there anything that you'd like to say about your experiences that you'd like to share with the audience?
Only what I've covered, really. But that it was a great privilege to do it, and it was a privilege. It was a privilege to be able to be involved in a position to do it, to be part of a greater thing, to experience and meet, work with all the different people, to be, I guess, in Shri Mataji's attention, because she was always following what was going on, and you felt that you were there doing it. And I always, I'll always value that.
Do you feel it gave you blessings or punyas in your life as a result of being involved here that reflected later in your life through other means?
I guess so. Maybe. I guess so. I mean, for sure. There must have been. I don't think about it too much, but I'm sure. I'm sure. What I've done with them, I don't really know, but
Yeah.
But
I would like to say on behalf of the collective who enjoyed the fruits of your labour, I would like to say thank you for all your efforts, because it was all unpaid, it was all done in your spare time, it was all done out of your love and your generosity spirit. So on behalf of everyone who's enjoyed the fruits of your labour, I would like to say formally thank you very much, because your work has been monumental in creating a stage upon which Sage Yoga is enacted. And on behalf of all of us, thank you very much.
Like I say, it was a privilege, and my privilege to be able to do it. So thank you.
Do you think back only fondly on those days as a Golden Builder?
Yeah, pretty well. I mean, working here, I think there are hard days. Building's hard, dusty, dirty things. But it was. I do think back fondly. I can't really think of anything that it was all very enjoyable. Sure.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you again. Great work.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's good.